This is a little bit of a different video. So today I wanted to show you what I do in order to get ready for and edit a video. I got some feedback a while back. It was one of my videos, I think, about a medical mistake and the patient died. And the feedback was, why don't you use notes? It wasn't, why don't you use better notes, or are you using notes? It's, why don't you use notes? And I thought, you know, that's a good beginning. That's a good beginning just to show you what I do. Because it's really important for me anyway to make sure that everything I say is as absolutely accurate as possible, and I can back it up with research or articles or information or personal experience. So let's get started. What do I do? Let's just jump right into it. First, for me anyway, again, this is going to be different for everybody. And when I started to do videos, I researched what other people did, and everybody has a little bit of a different system. So mine happens to be healthcare. So I do want to be very accurate in what I say and do. For me, I start out with a list on notebook paper that's ongoing for probably the last year and a half now of topics and ideas that I want to talk about or I want to cover. At the beginning, a couple of my videos a few years back were just fun videos, and I did them with my son's girlfriend, Liza, and she edits videos. That is what she's really good at, skilled at, and gets paid for. So she gave those to me, she edited them, put some music to them, but she has her own full-time job in life. So I thought, if I want to keep going with this, I have to figure it all out myself. So no problem. Okay, so the topics, the health topics, at the beginning, I really wanted to get out information that was personal to me, personal stories, things like stillbirth, what it's like to go through that, go through IVF, what it's like to have meningitis and think that that's what you're going to die from is meningitis. What do some of these things feel like? What's it like to be a caregiver for home health care versus the hospital? What's it like to be a caregiver for your own parent who's very unwell? So some of those topics were like top of the list. I just wanted to get them out. Mainly, I wanted to tell my story in order to help other people, or certainly give hope to other people. And then it branched out to other topics that I find so interesting, like appendix cancer or new treatment for sickle cell and cancer, things that I find fascinating. And I realize that my niche is probably small because not everybody finds those topics interesting. Some do, a lot don't, and that's okay. That's why there's such a variety out there. All right, so I found articles on child life therapy versus artwork or art lessons to help people move along with traumatic or pain experiences, or they have a very lengthy illness or even short illness. Art therapy does work, but I wanted to learn about exactly how, plus put my personal experience into the story about how I saw it being used when I worked in a pediatric hospital. Well, I think I mentioned both hospitals. So I start by typing out my notes. Once I type out my notes, I print them out. And in this case, for child life therapy, it happened to be about 24 pages. And then I go through them, and I'm not going to talk about every single thing on there, of course, but I am going to choose which areas are first. So as you can see, number one, that's the first thing I wanted to start with. Art therapy is different than art lessons, and why. And then I go on to number two, which is what to expect during art therapy. Then I go on to a personal experience of how art therapy helped heal a group of ladies dealing with breast cancer. And I back up a lot of it, not just with the research below, but I really want to insert as many photos, as many, and in this case, pieces of artwork that patients had done that correlate to what I'm talking about. It's really tricky because a lot of photos you have to pay for, and unsplash.com, that's a place where you can get some photos for free, and I've certainly used those, but you can't always get something like, please show a patient getting a lumbar puncture, when I was talking about meningitis. So I did have to pay for that photo. Some of those photos are $10 or $12, and some of them are $50 to $200. I don't buy those expensive ones. The next thing that I try to do, if I really want a photo to convey a message, I ask ChatGPT, but I don't have the paid version of ChatGPT. So an illustration of your specific request can only be given to you 2 times, and then you can ask for a correction on it. By the time you're at your 3rd illustration request, you're cut off from that. So I do love using ChatGPT because it's unique. Nobody else has this photo. The story I did about a lovely lady who had the wrong side of her head operated on. So she had a wrong side craniotomy. And another one I did was on wrong site, meaning the person had the wrong leg amputated. So some of these stories that I tell require, if I'm able to find it, their photo, where it took place at, what state, what was the punishment for the staff or the surgeon. I always highlight, once I read through everything and decide number 1, I'm going through number 2, I'm going to then circle the things that I find are particularly important. Okay, I'm back because my doorbell rang. My lady who delivers medication from the small pharmacy I use just brought my Emgality injection. So I've done a video on this too, and this is for migraines. I get this injection, it's subcutaneous, and it's once a month. The reason I'm bringing this up at all is because a lot of people, if they don't want to edit, they do this live, or they do videos and they don't do any editing. And wow, I wish I could do that. I'm a bit too self-conscious of doorbell, animals, interruptions, coughing, doing this. I just don't want it to be annoying to people. Or if I need to drink some water, if something's going on, I think it would probably annoy you all if you had to watch all these interruptions going on. But that is how some people get out of editing. And editing is a big, time-consuming, lengthy, tedious project, because that's what it is, that you have to do when you're done with your video. Or videos, like if I stop and start it many times, all of those are going to go from my phone and get loaded into my drive. So once in my Google Drive, and please tell me if there's an easier way to do this. Once in my Google Drive, then I take it out of there and I put it into Clipchamp. All right, now that's the one that I chose. And like everything, you can have the basic version or you can pay and have some better features, more features. You don't have to. Each time that you are putting together, like if you have a long video worth of information and you want to take a certain chunk out and you're starting maybe a new topic, then there's a transition that will go in, and maybe I'll put a pop-up saying transition. And there's lots to choose from. I tend to do the simple things. Once you're done editing your video, then in my situation anyway, I open up, well, I first use other things too. If you want to add music, there's another bit of a time-consuming process. Lots of people use lots of different things. They can use the total freebies by YouTube. You can pay money like I have. Okay, mine's called artlist.io, and I paid for 1 year because I liked the unique and different music that was available. Okay, I'm going off this here. I want to, just so I don't forget anything. Clipchamp, once the video goes to my drive, then I slide everything over to Clipchamp. Then I start editing it. I add music by either Artlist, or I do sometimes use YouTube's freebie or even Clipchamp's freebie of a little bit of music. I put pop-ups in, I put illustrations in. The illustrations come from medical research books and articles, sometimes Wikipedia, sometimes I purchase the photo or illustration, and sometimes I use ChatGPT to give me a couple illustrations. After all that is in, then I listen to it over and over again, probably 3 more times to really tighten up the editing and making it as short as possible. And when I'm done with that, then I download it and then I open up youtube.com and I insert it there. Okay, so what's the big deal about YouTube, and why is it that they tell us you have to make really good thumbnails. You have to have a super good, catchy title. The color of everything has to be just right. Your grammar has to be perfect. That's part of why going over it over and over again. Well, you can do all that and still never be seen. You can do all that, and like me, it's been, I don't know, 12 months or something like that, and 109 videos now. I'm not sure, 106 videos now. And I still don't have 1,000 subscribers, but I have 92% of the people that are watching my videos are not subscribing. And that just is kind of painful because you go through all this work, time, effort, heart and soul to get this information out, and then people just don't want to subscribe. And another interruption. Okay, let me see where I was. All right, so where does VidIQ come into this? So if you do TubeBuddy or VidIQ, I chose VidIQ, and it helps me to, at least at the beginning, to learn about what were some really good and interesting tags, how to make my description a little more concise. There's a lot you can do in VidIQ without the paid version. What we learn about thumbnails is that they need to be colorful, preferably. People like to see the same person's face. They can identify that person as they're scrolling. Colorful, simple, not too much, but enough. I personally like soft colors and I like minimalist. So I just had to get out of my comfort zone and make myself do thumbnails that were bright, that had arrows, exclamation marks, red, green, orange, that sort of thing. I look over my video in Clipchamp before sending it off and posting it on YouTube over and over again so that grammar is right, that it's concise, not too long, not too short. I just try to get the message across as simple as possible as well. So when I feel like it's good enough, then yes, then it's going to get posted. So like I said, on Canva, you're going to do your thumbnail, and then on ChatGPT, I'm going to use it for a good description. I will type out my description. I will give it to ChatGPT and say, can you make this more interesting? Can you make this more catching? Can you make sure my grammar is perfect? And that's what I use ChatGPT for, is it helps the person who is creating the video to be seen more because it helps the algorithm. That's why you hear people doing videos and they're just constantly bugging you about please subscribe, like begging, please subscribe, because subscribing, sharing, interacting, and viewing the videos in general, clicking on them and viewing them are what keeps it going for that person making the videos. The algorithm will acknowledge that people are interested, and then it will be out there for other people to see. Otherwise, it's honest to God hidden in the dungeon. I don't know where. I mean, people just don't really get to see all the creators that are out there with all of their information, because the way it works, there are millions of videos to be viewed, but they're not going to come to you unless people are starting to take an interest. As far as getting paid, it takes a lot to get paid. You don't get very much when you get paid. So of the 109 or however many exactly of the videos that I've made, and I'm sure it'll be another year, it'll be 2 or 3 years before I even am eligible to apply, because it does take 1,000 subscribers minimum, and it takes 4,000 viewed hours of your videos for you to even be eligible. So people really aren't doing it for the money. There are some, of course, that have made millions off being YouTube video, whatever you want to call them, influencers, those people are. I will be happy when I get 1,000. In fact, I'm going to celebrate when I get 1,000, because I want to keep doing this. My goal is to try to help people understand medical myths, facts, details, how to be your best advocate, why something is happening, why there's a measles outbreak, and how to get through really difficult times in your life related to a health crisis. That's what I am focusing on. So if this is interesting to you, please consider subscribing, and please give it a thumbs up so that it can be seen better in the algorithm. I hope you have a wonderful day.